Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I stare at the glowing screen of my phone, half expecting the numbers to lie. But there they are, unchanged and unrelenting. Julia's fitness tracker app is synced to mine, and for the past 4 nights, her activity levels have spiked around midnight. Always at the same time. It's strange, considering she's usually asleep by 10. My business trip has kept me miles away, but this feels like a cold, creeping shadow invading my mind. I've been married to Julia for 6 years, and she's always been predictable. Wake up at 6 a.m., yoga at 7, work by 9. Her routine is like clockwork, and that's one of the things I've always admired about her. But now, seeing these sudden surges of movement while I'm away, it's gnawing at me. I text her that I'll be working late again, knowing full well that she won't suspect anything. We've been through this before, these trips where work eats up my time and I barely have energy to call her. Tonight, though, I book the earliest flight home, deciding that I need to see for myself what's going on. The plane ride feels endless, my mind replaying the same image, Julia's tracker spiking again in the middle of the night. It's nearly 1 a.m. when I pull into the driveway. The house is dark, save for the faintest glow coming from the living room window. My heart pounds as I step out of the car, trying to quiet the storm of suspicion brewing in my chest. I don't want to believe it, but something is off. Something is wrong. I unlock the front door as quietly as I can, easing it open without a sound. The house feels different. Still, but charged with an energy that wasn't here before. I can hear soft, rhythmic sounds coming from upstairs. My jaw clenches as I climb the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The bedroom door is slightly ajar, and I push it open just enough to see. And that's when I freeze. Julia is there, straddling our couch, half naked, her back to me. She moves in a slow, deliberate rhythm, her body glistening in the dim light. But something is wrong. Very wrong. I step inside, my breath caught in my throat. It takes a second for my brain to process what I'm seeing. There's no one else in the room, but the way she's moving, it's like she's riding something or someone. But the couch, our couch, is empty. She's alone. And yet, her body trembles with a pleasure I've never seen in her before. Julia. My voice is barely a whisper, but it's enough to make her stop. She jerks her head around, eyes wide with shock, her mouth falling open. For a moment, we just stare at each other, suspended in time, the air between us thick with unspoken words. I didn't expect you, she stammers, her hands instinctively pulling her shirt back down, though it does little to cover her flushed skin. I stand there, my thoughts spinning. What the hell is going on? My eyes dart around the room, looking for answers, something to explain the bizarre scene. There's nothing. Just Julia and the couch. And then, as if some twisted realization settles into my mind, it hits me. Why? It's the only word I can manage, though my voice cracks under the weight of it. She looks down, avoiding my gaze, and that silence, it says more than anything else could. I didn't want you to know, she finally mutters, her voice barely audible. It's not what you think. Then what is it? I step forward, my frustration bubbling up as the confusion twists into anger. Because it sure as hell looks like something. Julia shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. It's not. I can't explain it, not right now. I don't know what to feel. Betrayed? Confused? Angry? All of it mixes into a chaotic mess inside me, but one thing is clear, she's hiding something. And whatever it is, it's tearing our marriage apart. I came home early, I say, the bitterness creeping into my tone. To surprise you. To check in because I've been seeing your tracker light up every night while I'm gone. So tell me, Julia, what the hell is going on? She looks up at me, eyes wide, as if she didn't expect me to piece it together so quickly. It's not what you think, she repeats, her voice trembling. But I don't believe her. Not for a second. Whatever she's doing, whoever she's doing it with, it's more than just some innocent mistake. This is betrayal. A kind I never saw coming. I feel my pulse quicken as the idea takes hold in my mind. I need to make her pay. Not now, but soon. I won't just walk away from this without a plan. If she thinks she can deceive me and walk away unscathed, she's wrong. This isn't just about her betrayal anymore. It's about setting things right on my terms. I turn away, not willing to listen to any more of her lies tonight. I'm going to bed, I say, my voice hollow. We'll talk tomorrow. As I leave the room, I know exactly what I need to do. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. And when it's all said and done, Julia will regret ever crossing me. The next morning, I wake up to an unfamiliar silence. The weight of last night still presses down on me, but I push it away. Today is the beginning of something new, something calculated. I roll out of bed, leaving Julia in her cocoon of guilt and discomfort. She's still asleep, or at least pretending to be. I head downstairs, the smell of coffee already brewing in the kitchen. I pause in the doorway, watching her. Julia sits at the table, her fingers nervously tapping against the side of her mug, eyes darting from the window to the floor as if avoiding the reality of what happened last night. She senses me standing there and looks up, her eyes puffy, probably from crying after I left the room. "Morning," she says softly, as if we're still playing house, pretending everything is normal. But the way she shifts in her seat tells me she knows better. I grab a mug and pour myself some coffee, sitting down across from her, but I don't speak. I'm waiting. She fidgets, struggling to find the words. She's always been terrible at lying, and now, with the weight of last night pressing down on her, she's even worse at hiding her discomfort. "About last night," she starts, her voice hesitant. "I know it looked bad, but you have to believe me. It wasn't. I wasn't cheating on you." I raise an eyebrow, leaning back in my chair. "Then what were you doing, Julia?" Because from where I was standing, it sure as hell didn't look innocent. She winces at the bluntness of my words. Good. She needs to feel the sting of this. She takes a deep breath, like she's trying to steady herself, and I almost feel a flicker of pity for her. Almost. "I've been going through something," she says, staring down at her hands. "I didn't know how to tell you. I thought if you knew, you'd think I was crazy." "Try me," I say flatly, my patience wearing thin. I'm tired of these half-answers, this dodging of the truth. She bites her lip, hesitating again. "I've been trying to fix something inside me. I didn't think it was fair to burden you with it. So I started experimenting with new ways to feel better." "Experimenting?" I scoff, cutting her off. "Julia, you were half naked, moving on that couch like." I stop myself. "I don't need to relive the moment. Just tell me the truth." Her eyes meet mine, a flicker of something vulnerable in them. "I've been going to a therapist," she admits, her voice small. 4 months. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. She suggested I try certain exercises to help me reconnect with myself." My jaw clenches, my grip tightening around the mug. "So that's your explanation? Therapy exercises?" "It's not just that," she says quickly, her voice rising slightly. "It's complicated. I wasn't doing it to hurt you." I shake my head, pushing back my chair and standing up. I can't listen to any more of this. Whatever she's been doing, it's crossed a line, and there's no coming back from it. "You should have told me," I say, my voice low and controlled. "Instead, you chose to hide it." And now, I can't unsee what I saw. Her eyes fill with tears, and she reaches out for me, but I step back, out of her reach. Please, she whispers, her voice breaking. I didn't want it to end up like this. It already has, I say, turning away and heading for the door. The next few days are a blur of cold silence between us. I make plans, quietly, meticulously. I want to be sure that when I make my move, it's precise and devastating. Julia continues her half-hearted attempts to patch things up, but I'm already past that. I'm thinking bigger now. Revenge isn't just about her betrayal. It's about ensuring she can never hurt me again. One night, as I sit in my office pretending to work, I start researching. I want to know every way I can legally, and maybe not so legally, make Julia's life a living hell. She's already shown her cards, and now it's my turn. I dig into her social media, her email, even her financial records. Nothing is off limits anymore. I discover she's been messaging someone. At first, I think it's just an innocent conversation with a friend, but something feels off. The messages are too frequent, too carefully worded. I dig deeper and find a name, Evan. The more I read, the more it becomes clear. This isn't just some casual conversation. There's something between them, something she's trying to hide. The anger inside me simmers, but I don't let it boil over. I'm in control now. I print the messages, save copies of everything, and start building my case. This isn't about just catching her in a lie anymore. It's about setting her up for a fall she won't recover from. The next morning, I confront her. I find her in the kitchen again, pretending to go about her day like nothing's wrong. She looks up as I enter, probably expecting more of the same icy silence. But not today. We need to talk, I say, my voice sharp. She freezes, eyes wide with anticipation. About what? I hold up the printouts of her messages with Evan, tossing them on the table between us. Explain this. Her face goes pale, her eyes flicking to the papers and then back to me. It's not what you think, she stammers, reaching for the messages, but I pull them away before she can touch them. I'm done with your excuses, Julia, I snap. You've been lying to me for months, and now I have proof. I know about Evan. I know everything. She opens her mouth to protest, but I cut her off. Don't even bother. I'm done listening to your lies. We're done. Tears well up in her eyes again, but I don't care. I'm past the point of feeling anything for her now. This is about taking control. This is about making sure she never forgets the consequences of crossing me. I want a divorce, I say, my voice steady. And I'm going to make sure you lose everything. Her eyes widen in shock, and she shakes her head, as if she can't believe what she's hearing. No, you can't. Please, let's just talk about this. There's nothing left to talk about, I say coldly. You've already made your choices. Now, you'll deal with the consequences. I turn and walk out, leaving her standing there, broken and defeated. But I don't feel sorry for her. Not anymore. This is only the beginning. She thinks I'm finished, but she has no idea what's coming next. The papers are signed. Julia stares down at them in disbelief, her hands trembling slightly as she realizes what's just happened. This isn't some bad dream she can wake up from. This is real. I've taken everything, our house, the car, half of our savings. And she knows she's powerless to stop it. I lean back in my chair, feeling the satisfaction settle in. It took months of careful planning, but it's done. My revenge isn't just about the divorce. It's about ruining her future. Julia is on the edge, and she has no idea what's still to come. You can't do this, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. You can't just take everything. I smile coldly, watching her as she struggles to keep it together. I already have, Julia. You signed the papers. It's over. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with anger and fear. You've turned into someone I don't even recognize. And whose fault is that? I snap, my voice hardening. You pushed me here. You lied. You cheated. This is on you. She stands up, knocking her chair over in frustration, the sudden movement jarring against the quiet tension in the room. I never cheated on you. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, don't give me that, I reply, rising from my chair, towering over her. I've seen the messages. I've seen you sneaking around with Evan. You've been hiding your little affair for months. Don't pretend you're the victim here. Her face crumples, and I can see the fear in her eyes, fear that she's losing everything. And she is. She doesn't know the half of it yet, but she will. Evan and I, she starts, her voice cracking. It wasn't like that. He's just someone I've been talking to. It never went further than that, I swear. I scoff, stepping closer to her. Don't insult my intelligence, Julia. You think I believe that? After everything I've found? Her eyes plead with me, but I'm done listening to her excuses. The damage is done, and now she's paying the price. She sits down again, her hands gripping the edge of the table, knuckles white as she tries to regain her composure. What do you want? She whispers, finally breaking the silence. What I want is simple, I say coldly, leaning over the table. I want you to disappear. Out of my life. Out of this house. Out of everything. You're done. Her lips tremble, but she doesn't argue. She knows there's no point. The divorce settlement was ruthless, but completely legal. And I've made sure that when she walks out of this house, she'll have nothing left. The next few days pass in a blur of silence and stony glares. Julia packs her things, moving like a ghost through the house, avoiding eye contact, barely speaking. I can see the weight of what's happening crushing her, and I feel nothing but cold satisfaction. One night, I sit in my office again, going through the final pieces of my plan. I've hired a private investigator to dig deeper into her life, to find every secret she's hidden, every mistake she's made. I'm going to destroy her reputation too. I want her to lose not just the house and the money, I want her to lose herself. My phone buzzes, and I glance at the screen. It's a message from the investigator. Found something. Thought you'd want to see it in person. Meet me tomorrow at noon. A flicker of excitement courses through me. This is it. The final piece. I don't know what he's found, but I can feel it's going to be good. The next day, I meet the investigator at a small cafe across town. He's a grizzled man in his 50s, the kind who's seen it all. He doesn't waste time with pleasantries. He slides a folder across the table, his eyes cold and calculating. This is what you paid for, he says simply. I open the folder, my eyes scanning the pages. And there it is. Everything I need to bring Julia down for good. Bank records, emails, photos, evidence of her financial lies, her secret accounts. She's been hiding money for years. I look up at the investigator, a smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. You've done good work. He nods, standing up to leave. Good luck with whatever you've got planned. I watch him go, the weight of the folder in my hands feeling like the final nail in Julia's coffin. This is it. The last step. That night, I wait for Julia to come home. She's been staying out late recently, probably avoiding the inevitable. I sit in the living room, the folder resting on the coffee table in front of me, waiting for her to walk through the door. When she finally does, her face is pale, her eyes tired. She drops her bag by the door and glances at me, her expression wary. We need to talk, I say, my voice calm but firm. She sighs, rubbing her forehead. What now? I pick up the folder and toss it onto the couch in front of her. You've been hiding things from me, Julia. Big things. She looks down at the folder, confusion flickering across her face before she reaches for it. As she flips through the pages, I watch her expression shift from confusion to shock, then horror. What is this? She stammers, her voice shaking. This, I say, standing up, is proof that you've been lying to me for years. Hiding money. Secret accounts. Manipulating our finances behind my back. She drops the folder onto the floor, stepping back as if the papers might burn her. No, I didn't, it wasn't like that. Oh, it wasn't. I sneer. Because it sure looks like you've been siphoning money away, Julia. Building a little nest egg for yourself, huh? Her face crumples, and I can see the fear gripping her again. I didn't mean for it to be like this. But it is like this, I say, cutting her off. And now, you're going to pay for it. Her voice breaks as she pleads with me. Please, don't do this. I'll fix it. We can fix this. There's no fixing this, I say, my voice cold as ice. It's over. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you've done. Your friends, your family. Evan. Her eyes widen in shock. No, you can't. I already have, I say, stepping closer to her. I've got everything I need. I'm going to destroy you, Julia. You won't have anyone left. Not a single person who'll stand by you. Tears stream down her face as she realizes just how far I've gone. I watch her crumble before me, and for the first time in months, I feel a sense of satisfaction wash over me. This is what she deserves. Get out, I say, my voice low and commanding. Now. And don't ever come back. She doesn't argue. She grabs her bag and rushes out of the house, her sobs echoing in the empty hallway. As the door slams shut behind her, I stand there, feeling the cold satisfaction of victory. It's done. But as I stand in the quiet house, I can't shake the feeling that there's still more to come. Julia's gone, but I know this isn't the end. There's still a part of me that's hungry for more, still craving the final blow that will make sure she never forgets what she did to me. And I'll get it. One way or another, I'll make sure she regrets every moment she betrayed me. A month has passed since Julia walked out of the house, leaving behind the wreckage of our life together. I haven't heard from her since, not a text, not a call. Not that I care. I'm done with her lies and her pathetic attempts to justify what she's done. My plan is already in motion, and soon she'll be facing the consequences of her betrayal. The thought of her downfall still fills me with cold satisfaction, but something gnaws at me. There's one last piece to this puzzle, one last loose thread that needs to be pulled before everything unravels. Evan. The man she thought she could hide from me. The man she tried to convince me was just a friend. I've done my homework. Evan's not just some casual acquaintance. He's been part of Julia's life for a while now, and whether she admits it or not, he's the reason she destroyed our marriage. I'm going to make sure he feels the full weight of his mistake. It's Friday evening when I finally confront Evan. I've tracked him to a quiet bar downtown, the kind of place where people go to disappear for a while. It's dimly lit, filled with the soft murmur of conversations and the occasional clink of glasses. He sits at the bar, nursing a drink, oblivious to the storm about to hit him. I walk up slowly, my heart cold with purpose. He doesn't notice me until I'm standing right next to him. When he glances over, there's a moment of recognition, followed by confusion. You're Evan, right? I say, my voice steady, but laced with something dangerous. He frowns, trying to place me. Yeah, who's asking? I'm Julia's husband, I say, letting the words hang in the air between us. I can see the realization dawn in his eyes, the sudden flicker of panic as he processes what I've just said. He opens his mouth to speak, but I cut him off. Save it. I don't want to hear your excuses. You think I don't know what's been going on between you two? Evan swallows, his hand tightening around his glass. Listen, man. I don't know what you've heard, but you've got it all wrong. I'm sure I do, I say, sarcasm dripping from my words. Because you're just an innocent bystander, right? You weren't sneaking around with my wife behind my back. You weren't helping her destroy our marriage. He stares at me, guilt flashing across his face, but he still tries to play it cool. Look, it's not what you think. Julia, she was going through something. I was just trying to help. I laugh, a low, bitter sound. Help? That's what you call it. Evan shifts in his seat, his confidence cracking under the pressure. It's complicated, man. Julia, she wasn't happy. She needed someone to talk to. That's all it was. I lean in closer, my voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. You know what's funny about that? She had someone to talk to. Me. Her husband. But instead, she went to you. So let's cut the crap. What exactly were you two doing? Evan hesitates, his eyes darting to the door, as if he's thinking about making a run for it. But I'm not letting him off that easy. I grab his arm, my grip tightening. You're not going anywhere, I say coldly. You're going to tell me the truth. Right now. He glances around the bar, but no one's paying attention to us. It's just the two of us, caught in a moment of silent understanding. He knows he's trapped. Fine, he says, his voice low and defeated. We were seeing each other, all right? But it wasn't what you think. It wasn't serious. The words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I don't flinch. I won't give him the satisfaction of seeing me react. And how long has this been going on? I ask, my voice tight. Evan sighs, running a hand through his hair. A few months. It wasn't supposed to happen. She didn't want to hurt you. I release his arm, feeling a wave of cold fury wash over me. She didn't want to hurt me. That's funny, because it sure looks like she's done a pretty good job of it. Evan doesn't respond, just stares down at his drink, avoiding my gaze. I watch him for a moment, the anger simmering inside me, and then I make my decision. This isn't just about Julia anymore. This is about Evan, too. He played a part in this, and he's going to pay. I hope you're ready for what's coming, I say, my voice deadly calm. Evan looks up, confused. What do you mean? I've already set things in motion, I explain, my words slow and deliberate. Julia thinks she's going to walk away from this with her reputation intact. But I've made sure that's not going to happen. And you're part of the plan now. He frowns, shaking his head. What the hell are you talking about? I lean in, my eyes locking onto his. I've got proof. Everything you and Julia did. The texts, the emails, the photos. It's all there. And I'm going to make sure it gets to the right people. Evan pales, his eyes widening in shock. You can't do that. Oh, I can, I say, smiling coldly. And I will. By the time I'm done, your career, your relationships, everything you've built will be gone. Just like that. He stands up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. You're insane. Am I? I ask, still seated, calm. Or am I just doing what needs to be done? He backs away, shaking his head in disbelief. You don't know what you're doing, man. You're going to ruin everything. That's the point, I say, standing up slowly. You and Julia thought you could get away with this. But you were wrong. Evan turns and storms out of the bar, but I don't chase after him. I've said what I needed to say. The seed has been planted. Now, I just need to watch it grow. The fallout is swift and brutal. Within days, the evidence I gathered spreads like wildfire. Julia's friends turn on her, horrified by what they've seen. Evan's employer finds out about his involvement with a married woman, and he's forced to resign in disgrace. His name is dragged through the mud, and any hope of salvaging his career is gone. But it doesn't end there. Julia's family, who had once supported her, now shuns her completely. She's left with nothing, no home, no job, no one to turn to. I've taken everything from her, just as she took everything from me. I hear through mutual acquaintances that she's left the city, desperate to escape the destruction I've caused. Part of me wonders if she'll ever be able to rebuild her life after this, but I don't really care. She deserves every bit of suffering I've inflicted. As for Evan, I hear he's left too, moving to another town to escape the scandal. It doesn't matter. He's finished. Just like her. Months later, I sit alone in the house that was once ours, staring out the window. The satisfaction I once felt has faded, replaced by a hollow emptiness. I've won. I've gotten my revenge. But now, all that's left is the quiet. Julia and I will never see each other again. There's nothing left between us but hatred and regret, two people torn apart by betrayal and retribution. I've burned everything to the ground, and now I'm standing in the ashes. In the end, we were both destroyed by the lies we told.